change happens when the people who are most affected demand it.
This year marks the 30th anniversary of signing the Americans with Disabilities Act into law. To celebrate, some folks at the Human Development Institute reflect on the importance of the law and what it means to them. We also recognize that many barriers still exist.
The Human Development Institute at the University of Kentucky is pleased to be celebrating the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. This landmark legislation changed the landscape for people with disabilities in the United States, but we know that there is still a great deal of work to be done.
When I first heard about the ADA, it was a long time ago, back in high school. Honestly, I didn't really understand what it meant.
The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, or ADA, is a civil rights law that prohibits discrimination based on disability.
In 1986, the National Council on Disability recommended the enactment of an American with Disabilities Act and drafted the first version of the bill, which was introduced in the House and Senate in 1988.
It is possibly the most significant piece of federal legislation ever passed to prohibit discrimination against people with disabilities.
The Americans with Disabilities Act enables people with disabilities to be recognized as valuable and worthy.
Greater quality of life comes from being able to do everything that everybody else is able to do, with or without an accommodation.
People with disabilities are humans too, and they deserve every right that anyone else should have.
The Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, that we call ADA, the definition of that really relates to civil rights and protecting people with disabilities.
The ADA means giving people with disabilities independence and an opportunity to serve as self-advocates.
An opportunity in which I'm able to provide a future for myself.
The Americans with Disabilities Act directly impacts my daily life.
From the moment I get up in the morning until I go to bed at night, I'm affected by that law in some way.
It allows me to have a normal life in which my circumstances are not at any way normal whatsoever.
So it's just important to know that we have a voice, and our opinion and our rights also matter.
Without the ADA and without that basic fundamental requirement that the world needs to be accessible for people with disabilities, I might have a lot of opportunities that would not have been made available to me.
I think the world wouldn't be a very good place if the ADA didn't exist, because I wouldn't be able to do the stuff that I love doing.
If we eliminate diversity, we eliminate part of humanity every time.
When the ADA was signed into law by George Bush in 1990, it was the culmination of a great deal of work of many people who struggled and fought for years for this equal rights, civil rights law to be passed.
We have the ADA because people with disabilities demanded it and fought for it.
Working together and just really pushing for change.
It takes intentionality around thinking about what it would take to truly be inclusive.
What I most want people to recognize about the Americans with Disabilities Act is what a testament it is to protest and other forms of self-advocacy.
So the ADA has really provided a window into the true humanity and capacity of all humans.
But there are so many people still being left out.
I say that the ADA is really a journey because we're nowhere near where we need to be 30 years after the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
While much has been accomplished in the last 30 years, there still remains much to be done.
So I want to say that the ADA is a great start. It is absolutely necessary. It is absolutely a wonderful thing, but it's not enough.
Keeping people with disabilities involved in decision making, hiring good people to come here, looking at people that have a passion for what they do and have a passion for making life just better for people with disabilities.
I take a lot of comfort in the hope it brings for future changes.
An opportunity for everyone, people with disabilities, to be able to have a future and to live as much of a normal life as the next person.
Accommodate for people with a variety of disabilities, whether it's intellectual, physical, or otherwise.
To me, the Americans with Disabilities Act represents a journey.
Rights.
Everyone.
Equality.
Freedom.
Hope.
Opportunity.
Independence.
My perfect day, right, would be a day when we didn't need HDI anymore, because life would be just normal for everybody, and people with disabilities wouldn't need special programs and that kind of thing. The people would just be level and equal. But until that day happens, I'd say just keep it going, man.
To learn more about the ADA and the Human Development Institute, visit hdi.uky.edu. Thank you for watching.
Well, no, because in my mind I'm thinking like dramatically, and it's like, that's not me at all. I gotta.
Yeah.